Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines we have for you today. BRICS back in the news. All eyes. We got it for you. Russia, India, central banks. What's going on with CBDCs? We're going to talk about it. Ripple commands 90% of FX, foreign exchange. Let me tell you, you're going to want every single bit of it, along with this too. Battle for global cryptocurrency. And we're going to talk about Jim Rickards and what he says about XRP-Ledger technology. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content at the top of the screen. Right now, cryptocurrency market cap is $1.22 trillion. The market is up 0.4%. Bitcoin 29,500 plus. Ethereum 1849 and change. And Tether market cap is now 83 billion plus. That is as low as we've seen Tether's market cap in quite some time, ladies and gentlemen. We'll keep it up to date if anything changes. XRP at the number 5 spot at 63 cents now, up 0.3 in the 24-hour, up 2.9 on the 7-day. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you this morning about Link2 and where you can get the best private equity in the world. Ripple. How much longer is the window going to be open for us to get Ripple private equity? And I covered this morning too. If you haven't seen this morning's video, please go watch it. It's quite possible, and I'm speculating, that Ripple doesn't have to IPO in the United States. And we shouldn't let that bother us at all, because I'm looking forward to an IPO from Ripple no matter where it ends up taking place. So you better get that private equity if you can get a hold of it. If you're accredited, click the link for link2.com underneath the video and do not mess around. Let's get started. Okay, the bat phone was going off, but we got it straight now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look at this as we get started here. We're going to try to move through this quickly. Now, we know that in another, 8 days, we're going to see BRICS summit in South Africa kick off. One of the things we're watching for is the announcement of Saudi Arabia possibly joining the BRICS coalition. If they do, I think we all understand that that is going to be a part of what we would see as the greatest financial paradigm shift in the history of mankind. Because if Saudi Arabia joins BRICS, you could probably take it to the bank that they're not going to continue to honor the petrodollar agreement for the United States dollar, which helps elevate the US dollar as a global reserve currency and not just a national reserve currency. The other thing we need to pay very close attention to is here Andy Schectman brought highlights and very good points, key points to the eyes that we should watch BRICS closely, not only for the Saudi Arabia potential announcement there, but also because it could grow to the size of 85% of the global population and more than half of the natural resources of the world, which means they would have a lot of influence and power, not only through people, but through natural resources to be able to deal with the world in that regard as well. Here is a more recent clip here of Jim Rickards, and he's going to explain to you about the geopolitical shockwave and talk about a battle for global currency. Listen to this quick clip very, very carefully. Take a listen. This is imaging and
This
film.
is American History TV on C-SPAN 3, where each weekend we feature 48 hours of programs exploring our nation's past.
Exactly. And this is from back in 1918 era here where the Liberty Bomb Parade was going on. And yes, they are wearing something on their faces, aren't they? Very, very similar time that we're in, ladies and gentlemen. You can't make it up. Something to note, ladies and gentlemen, something to note. Now, don't forget that Russia and the Atlanta press, foreign Russian experience of blockchain digitization by central banks, Ripple platform can be considered the basis for starting work on creating a system for cross-border payments. This is highlighted. We've covered this a long time ago too. This is not breaking, right? But this is a reminder Who's in a conflict right now? Russia and Ukraine, right? They have done the work. They understand what Ripple's platform, they understand the ledger, they understand XRP the token, how it works, its efficiency, just like another BRICS coalition partner, India. Federal Bank of India is going to use XRP to unlock trillions of dollars. This here is a letter just explaining what it can do and how it can be effective. It's not a guarantee, right? But nevertheless, this is entered into a partnership with the Federal Bank of India. This is a big deal. There's 2 of the BRICS coalition partners right now. Now we know another 40 plus have been invited to this summit in the next 8 days that's coming up. We will see. One of those is Saudi Arabia. Will they join? How big will they expand? How quickly? I do not expect them to all drop the bonds of the U.S. Treasury bonds and the notes at once. I don't expect that. I would be shocked, knock me over with a feather, if something like that happened. I think it would shoot themselves in the foot just as fast as it would the U.S. And you don't want to cut your nose. It's like drinking poison and then hoping it kills the other person. That's not the way I think it happens. Nevertheless, it doesn't mean that a flip the switch moment of some other nature couldn't be brought on because of that announcement of Saudi Arabia. So we will see how that goes as well. Now, with that being said, I want to remind you of this article, which seems, positive, but, benign and maybe focused more towards remittance. But take a look at this and make sure you give Michael Branch a follow. This guy's incredible. It wasn't the article itself is really about InstaRem, Ripple partner, based on Ripple's post. The speed is one of the strengths that Ripple brings to the table from the head of InstaRem. Learn how InstaRem is leveraging our payment solution to reduce transaction times by 50% for their global small medium enterprise customers by going to treasury operations to ease these things for their customers and clients. Now, what's really interesting to me is down here at the bottom, if you look at this, Ripple commands 90% of global FX. Meanwhile, in the press statement, Ripple spotlighted the massive scale of its global remittance system. The firm stated that its payout network encompasses over 90% of the world's foreign exchange business. Well, that tells me whether it's plugged into the remittance system or not, Ripple is hooked up, baby. And they're hooked up to the entire FX market. Now, that's exciting to me because we know we have a geopolitical situation playing out with BRICS and the possibility of Saudi Arabia being announced in the next 8 days or so. We're watching closely. But then there's Jim Rickards again. Now, this clip you're going to see is from a few years ago. But nonetheless, you are about to see Jim Rickards dissect proof of stake Bitcoin, proof of work Bitcoin, proof of stake Ethereum, and Federated Byzantine Agreement, which is the XRP Ledger. Wait till you hear what he says, followed up by some comments from David Schwartz as well. And think about the moment that we're in now, understanding what technology, what companies, what value protocol can actually play a role right now to help the situation that we're in and to ease the friction and stress of the monetary crisis and situation that we're in. Take a listen.
Let's go to this right now very quickly because this is Jim Rickards, who is going to lay out to you the proof of work, proof of stake, and Federated Byzantine. And by the way, if you don't know, that's exactly what the XRP Ledger is all about, the Federated Byzantine Agreement, as well as the consensus mechanism. Now, I want you to very carefully, that's from David Schwartz, and I want you very carefully listen to this clip from Jim Rickards as he breaks down very clearly what's a winner and what's a loser to him.
That was the original idea. So the question is, what's your method of validation? And that's what distinguishes one blockchain from the other. So I've listed 4 of them here, but there are others. Proof of work, that's what blockchain uses. And you know what the work is? You got to factor these, 87-digit prime numbers into prime factors. It's a lot of computer crunching, completely clunky, completely inefficient, non-sustainable. I'll talk about that in a second, but that's Bitcoin. There's something else called proof of stake, meaning you actually, this is what Ether is based on, you demonstrate that you have a certain percentage of the processing power, so you step up based on your stake. There's proof of space. Space is storage space on a hard drive, so I get to vote on the blockchain. I get to vote on validating the blockchain because I've decided to devote a certain amount of my hard drive to that process. There's a new coin called Space Mint. And then there's the Byzantine Agreement, or Byzantine Agreement. There's a version of that called the Federated Byzantine Agreement, which I personally think is the best, much more robust to some of the problems we're talking about, and there are others. But the point.
And there you have it. So Federated Byzantine Agreement is the winner in Jim Rickards' eyes, who is making quite a statement because this is a gold bug, macroeconomic economist and a gold bug here. And he's telling you this is the one that is a winner to him. And obviously this is David Schwartz explaining that that's exactly what the XRP ledger is based on.
So what does that mean? Imagine every major institution in the world, and I mean every major institution in the world, able to settle every major asset. That's dollars, that's rupees, that's euros, that's Japanese yen, you name it.
I remind you right now of the new
with every other institution in a compatible jurisdiction. You're not going to see, U.S. banks settling with North Korean banks, obviously. So again, every major institution in the world settling every major fiat asset with every major institution in a compatible jurisdiction in seconds for pennies or fractions of a penny.
Now
how is that not mind-blowing? Every institution in the world can move every fiat asset to every other institution in the world in seconds for a penny, as long as the jurisdictions are legally compatible. How is that not an incredible big deal? That can happen when the systems are independently secure and interoperable. That is a very big deal. Less than a penny and fully confirm in less than 10 seconds. XRP-Ledger's hyper-efficiency and liquidity enables developers globally to support numerous use cases, from DeFi, payments, consumer applications. And you don't need anybody's permission to interact with the XRP-Ledger, right? It's a public good.
Let's go to this right.
And there you have it. It's a public good. It's acknowledged by Jim Rickards, who's not a fan of crypto, to be the most robust solution out of the value protocols he discussed. And don't forget about the little secret weapon called Codius for smart contracts. This is from Kendra Hill. Those of you who don't know, was a anonymous person or pseudonymous person in this space who was always sharing information that felt like they had more knowledge than the rest of us, suggesting that Codius is the most advanced smart contract platform that will ever exist. The project was said to be put on hold in 2015. She said that wasn't accurate. Codius will be smart contracts with integrated payments processing and a variety of privacy options. It says here that Codius and XRP are going to be used to manage the entire $1+ quadrillion derivatives market. How about that one? Look, some of this is speculation. Some of this is based off of statements that we've actually got to go on. We have to remember, as retail investors and XRP holders in this space, we don't get to sit at the big table. So it's going to require us having a conversation about what we know to be facts and to walk to the edge of the ice and then speculate from there to try to figure out where all of this goes. How quickly, how fast, no one knows. But one thing I'm sure of, there's no longer an if. It's a when and how big. That's where I'm at. And that's not financial advice. That's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.